Hi, I'm Sid Dobrin. This video addresses the visual evaluation project that asks students to develop a graphic, a chart or a graph, that compares and evaluates 4 features that iPad and Android tablets have in common. This assignment encourages students to think about how visual text like graphics can be used to convey evaluative information. As the chapter explains, visuals can be useful for clarifying evaluative information and for emphasizing evaluative information. When I use this assignment with students, there are really 2 connected points that I emphasize. The first is that before the writer can design the graphic representation of the evaluative information, he or she must first conduct the evaluation. This means determining the purpose of the evaluation, developing the criteria, and evaluating the subject of the evaluation based upon those criteria. Second, the form of visual, a graph, a pie chart, a table, for example, constrain what kind of information can be communicated visually. Therefore, writers have to play a kind of chicken and egg game, basing the criteria in part on what the visual form can clearly depict and choosing the type of visual representation based in part upon the criteria used to evaluate. With these kinds of parameters in mind, I then work with students to think about how to develop their criteria for evaluating the 2 tablets' features. Within this discussion, I also add to the decision-making process the question of what kinds of features will their audiences be most interested in hearing about, and what is it about those features that are relevant, interesting, and useful to the audience and the given situation. As to assessing the visual evaluation, you should be able to use the assessment rubric I've included with the instructor materials for this chapter to help guide you and your students in thinking about the assignment. With this assignment, be sure to emphasize the rhetorical knowledge part of the rubric, particularly in the use of visual rhetoric. That portion of the rubric, associated with the critical thinking portion, is also a valuable emphasis when addressing with students how you will assess their evaluation. That's a little bit of my thinking about the visual evaluation prompt. Thanks for using writing situations, and thanks for watching.